Welcome to Unplugged with Tyler Winters and John Pearman. I'm Tyler Winters. John Pearman is here, and another killer show lined up for you guys today. You know, we got some news on Sum 41 breaking a record and ending Blink-182's reign, which is just surprising, but we'll get into that. I want your thoughts on that, John. And then there was some news that came out this week. It's some of the weirdest stuff you've ever heard. Some hardcore band kicked their vocalist out for reasons you will not believe. So just hang on, and we're going to discuss it. It's really kind of fucked up. And then finally, I came across a Reddit post, as I do, and somebody asked, why do you think pop punk is no longer mainstream? And I felt like this falls right into our wheelhouse. We've talked about this stuff before. We'll go through some comments. We'll make some comments. I have some pretty bold reasons why I think it isn't as popular as it once was. But yeah, we'll get into that. But before we get into all of that, I want to give a huge shout out to our current monthly supporters. Your support means the world to us and does not go unnoticed. And it really does go a long way in keeping this thing going. Guys, if you're interested in supporting the show for as little as $3 a month, which is less than the cost of your morning coffee, you can help us continue creating great scene-related content without the need for us to rely on ads, which can distract you from your listening experience. Plus, it's a vote of confidence that we're on the right track and creating the content that you love. So if this sounds like something you'd be interested in doing, please click the support the show link in the show notes. And if you can't contribute financially, no worries. Leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify is a fantastic way to show your support. And please feel free to share these episodes with the people that you think will love the show. And also, we have a newsletter. Don't forget, if you want to stay updated on all of the latest scene news and music releases, sign up for the Unplugged weekly newsletter. We gather all of the essentials for you, making it a one-click source for scene updates. And the best part, it's entirely free. So head over to unplugged.allpunkedup.com to start staying informed and consider signing up. We've included a link in the show notes for your convenience. So with that out of the way, let's get into the show. So John, as I mentioned at the top of the show,
I really wanted to interrupt there at some point, but I didn't do it.
I thank you. I thank you. Yes. So, I mean, we can pull back the curtain a little bit. John had to be quiet during that segment because I'm going to reuse that recording on future episodes. So I don't have to do it every single episode. So thank you, John.
You're welcome.
All right. There might be times where we'll just, ad lib one here and there and let John do his thing. But until then.
Let me fly.
Yeah. So, John, came across some news this week. Sum 41 ends record break between number ones on alternative Airplay chart with Landmines. So, great news for Sum 41, but there's some news in here, John. There's a line in this article from Billboard that's going to make us feel really old. So, first of all, it's the band's first number one in more than 20 years. This is crazy.
Stands to reason.
So, Billboard writes, after more than 2 decades away, Sum 41 is back at number one on Billboard's alternative Airplay chart as Landmines crowns the tally dated March 9th. It's Sum 41's second alternative Airplay ruler after Fat Lip reigned for a week in August 2001.
A week.
That break of 22 years, 5 months and 3 weeks between number ones is by far the longest in the chart's 35-year history, surpassing the 13 years and 6 months that the Killers waited between When You Were Young in October 2006 and Caution in April 2020. So, dude, 22 years, 5 months, and 3 weeks since between number ones. So that means Fat Lip is over 22 years old.
That was a good summer.
It was a great summer and great time for pop punk.
The fall didn't start out too great.
No, definitely not. No. Yeah. That took me a minute.
But the summer
was great. The summer was great.
Well, actually, that was technically the end of summer. So summer doesn't end until like third week of September. I misspoke.
Right.
So it was a great summer up until then.
Yes. Right. Exactly.
That not good.
But my goodness, man, when it's put in perspective like that, 22 years, like where on earth did the time go? It's just 22 years.
It's gone, brother.
It's gone. But congrats to Sum 41. Now, what's interesting about this is just last week we were talking about Blink-182's like record tying streak, being at number one on this same chart on Billboard's alternative airplay chart. They reigned number one for 20 weeks with One More Time, the track One More Time. We talked about how we were a little surprised that track, that's the one that's gone on for so long. But interesting that another pop punk legendary act took the place. I don't know. It's actually pretty cool, I think. Another notable thing that Billboard says here is in between Fat Lip and Landmines, Sum 41 charted 9 alternative airplay titles, paced by the number 7 peaking Still Waiting in 2003, with a pair of additional top 10s in Into Deep, which was number 10 in 2001, and We're All to Blame, which also went to number 10 in 2004. And then it says, upon its debut in October, Landmines marked Sum 41's first appearance since Screaming Bloody Murder, which reached number 37 in 2011. So Sum 41's had a great career, clearly still has it. But what is surprising about this that I wanted to note is Landmines came out like a long time ago. So, and it's just now peaking at number one.
I wonder if it got boosted by the news of them breaking up, or...
Yeah, it had to have. So wait,
that's what I thought. I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, it's not a new track. So
no, is Sum 41? What the hell's going on with my Spotify here? When did what label are they on? They're on a label, right? They're not doing this independent now.
I mean,
I'm going to look that up real quick. All right, so Landmines. So they're under exclusive license to Rise Records. So they're working with Rise Records, I think. So there must be a PR push or a label push or something, I would think, to get a song that has already come out months ago, I would think, to get it to number one. I don't know that it's organically getting up there because I don't even... Landmines, I think, wasn't it the first release? Yeah, it was the first release.
From middle of last year.
Yeah, so... It's kind of interesting. So there's a clear push here. I doubt it's organic, but that's okay. It is what it is. That's just how radio and the charts work anyways, for the most part. But I did think that was interesting. Just Landmines came out a while ago. But worth noting, congrats to Sum 41. I think they started their farewell tour. And I think their Heaven and Hell double album, looks like it will come out March 29th. So that's coming out this month.
Can you still listen to Fat Lip, or is that something you would skip?
I still like it. I'll still listen to it. Yeah, I have it on like my pop punk playlist, and it'll come on. It's not one that I skip. I like the music. I really like the music. Why do you skip it?
I don't think I could sit and listen to it. The album itself, I could probably still definitely listen to, but
yeah, there's a lot of bangers on All Killer No Filler. But yeah, I've always liked Fat Lip. I've always liked the beginning intro riff, and I just always thought that I don't know. It's just a little nostalgia. Like, it's not like All the Small Things for me. Like, I'll skip all the small things.
Total burnout song, yeah.
I'll even skip What's My Age Again most of the time. But I'll always listen to, like, Damn It. Yeah. I don't know. So it's like, I don't know.
No, there's definitely some songs from that era where I'm just like, I'm not going to listen to The Middle again. Ever, probably.
Yeah, I like that song. It's fun to play on guitar, too. But at least the beginning intro is. But yeah, I know what you mean. It's not... I don't even know what it is about it. It's just... I don't want to say generic, but it's kind of generic. So it's...
any song that really, like, crossed over, like,
into
to
the mainstream
radio. Yeah, it's like, okay, I heard it way too much.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thought on it, but...
Yeah. And you used to work at a place that would probably play mainstream a lot.
Yeah. It was a lot of Sheryl Crow.
Yeah, we've talked about that before.
Most.
All right,
That's
John.
what I remember the most.
Let's move on to one of the most bizarre things I read this week. I mean, there was a couple things I read this week, but this one, I think this one takes the cake. So this one, Consequence, has the article here, and the headline is... Hardcore band fires singer for dosing bassist with estrogen. Okay? All right, so get this. In one of the most bizarre band shakeups of all time, a hardcore band named Lorona has fired their singer after he allegedly dosed his bandmate with estrogen in a plot to steal his fiancée. The Nashville-based band revealed the news in a post on their Instagram account, which has since been deactivated. Apparently, the singer Diego was obsessed with bassist Six's fiancée. The vocalist allegedly secretly dosed Six with estrogen in an effort to make the bassist more feminine and to use the opportunity to swoop in by looking stronger and more manly in comparison. The alleged diabolical plot led to Six seeking medical attention and racking up thousands of dollars in doctor's bills because Six didn't know what was going on. Something was happening. He wasn't able to... He doesn't know what's happening, so he
perform?
Maybe. He went to the doctor to try to figure out what on earth is going on. So I guess I could try to read this full post here. It is kind of lengthy, but the full post from Six via Lorona's since deleted Instagram post reads as follows. We have decided to part ways with our vocalist Diego due to admission of very disturbing and concerning behavior towards one of our band members and their partner. He has admitted to being obsessed with said partner and has been attempting to sabotage their relationship by cutting pre-workout he frequently gets from his job with high amounts of estrogen in them. He has been attempting to force a transition onto him for the last 5 months. 5 months. In hopes that would give him the opportunity to swoop in once he looks stronger and more manly in comparison. And then it says, stupid caveman mindset that makes zero sense. It goes on. This tampering has caused confusion and thousands of dollars in medical bills the past months trying to figure out what's wrong. We would not know any of this unless Diego had gotten way too intoxicated and outed himself, and then stated in an admission to all of this via text. There are many more disgusting details that have been left out for the sake of privacy and general censorship. So that was the band's statement, and apparently there are receipts here. There's screen grabs and stuff of this alleged incident via text.
Nice.
Goes on to say,
I was hoping it was like in a room, like just drunkenly, admitting to I've been drugging you, trying to turn you into a woman.
I would imagine that would not go over very well. But as for Diego's response, it cannot be further from the truth on the supplement side of things. The only sealed products he would provide were proteins, but the other products were always unsealed because they were tossed at his job if they couldn't sell it, hence why it was free. He also has easy access to steroids and hormones because of his gym practices. They go on to say, I am going to be seeing an endocrinologist over the next few months to track my hormonal fluctuations, to see if my estrogen levels are extremely heightened and go back to normal over time. I've had physical changes from the hormones besides stomach ulcers, weight loss, and muscle fatigue that I will not get into, as well as notable mental changes. Holy shit.
I bet his driving suffered too.
He probably. He goes on to say, I will also be getting the last batch of pre-workout he gave me tested for estrogen. I have about 2 to 3 full cups of it left. He will not pass off what he admitted to as a joke or confusion, even in his state of drunkenness. What he did is disgusting and has had an immense negative effect on my life. And like I said, it goes on to say the band shared screen grabs and whatnot. So one of the texts that Diego said was, I was really drunk and told Six and his fiance that I was obsessed with her and had a deep hatred for Six and gave Six estrogen to get an edge up on him. Wow. Just crazy. The worst part about this whole thing is that it went on for 5 months and the dude ended up seeing physical changes, having mental changes.
He was blacking out and waking up in a Starbucks drive-through.
Yeah, like what is this? He becomes like so basic. Probably wearing cardigans. Uggs. Yeah, it's just messy hair buns and all that. And like you said, I'm sure the driving suffered as well.
Lactating.
Probably. What else? What else can we throw out there, John?
Became ashamed of farts.
Yeah, it just
no longer took pride in farting.
Just totally changed there. Really took up cooking a lot.
Cooking expressed his emotions without provocation.
Yep. It was really weird too. He would, wake up in the mornings, and then he'd confront the band about a bad dream he had, like it was the band's fault. So, and they had to kind of figure out, like, no,
why'd you do that? Not really.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually had the reverse of that. I had to yell at Beth this morning because of a dream I had.
Did you?
Yeah.
What was the dream?
I was angry. She bought like this. Yeah, we for some reason bought a new house, but it was an old house. And I'm moving stuff around in there, and the doorways are all really narrow, so I'm like banging shit in the doorways. I'm like, fuck, what the fuck? I don't know why I had no part in the purchase of a home, but and then the air unit was old and not working. I was like, did you not know that the fucking air doesn't work? I was really mad in the dream.
Yeah, apparently
it was hard not to be mad when I woke up.
Yeah, so I mean,
and she didn't know the Wi-Fi password. I don't know why we just like assumed their Wi-Fi password when we moved in, but she didn't know that either.
Oh my gosh,
I was angry.
As you should be. As you should be. And did she say sorry?
Oh, not in real life, no.
Oh, okay.
Nor in the dream.
So when you woke up this morning and confronted her about it?
No, I didn't confront her. I was just like, hey, I had this dream, so if I'm a little prickly, that's why.
I'm still getting over the fact that it's not true.
Yeah. I was just filled with fervent rage.
That's another thing, though, that what ended up happening for Six is any type of issues that arise, even if he was at fault, the band members had to say sorry to him. It's their fault.
Found himself using the shower wand in ways that he hadn't before.
Yes. Yep. So, yeah, lots of things have happened to this bassist over the last 5 months.
Oh, it had to be a bassist, too, didn't it?
Right. Dude, I almost wonder if it's actually true. Like,
it's so odd for the bassist to have a fiance that the lead singer wants to.
That too, right?
You'd think it would be the opposite.
It would totally be the opposite. Yeah, I honestly, I don't know. There's no way that this could be true. Could it? I mean, I guess it could. But
could.
Who knows?
It's too weird to be made up.
I know, but with ChatGPT and stuff, you can make up some weird shit pretty easily. You don't even have to think about it. So. It was
ChatGPT, give us a band scenario of breaking up that would never happen.
Okay, I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to say that exact same thing.
An unlikely scenario to break up a band.
Give me an unlikely scenario that would... Okay, write me a story.
Oh.
A story about an unlikely scenario that would break up a band. Let's see what it says.
Now.
Let's see what they say. I hope this isn't really long, but I'll read it.
All right.
Okay. Settle down, ChatGPT. It's going fast. Okay, it's done. We'll see how well this is. Okay. Once upon a time in the vibrant city of Harmonyville, stupid, there existed a band named Eclectic Fusion, comprising 4 talented musicians with diverse backgrounds. They were known for seamlessly blending different genres into a unique and captivating sound that resonated with audiences far and wide. The band's members, Jake, the soulful vocalist, Mia, the virtuoso guitarist, Alex, the funky bassist, and Lily, the dynamic drummer, had an unspoken bond that went beyond their musical chemistry. For years, they navigated the highs and lows of the music industry, forging a connection that seemed unbreakable. One day, the band received a golden opportunity, a chance to headline the prestigious Harmony Fest, the city's largest and most celebrated music festival. The news brought immense joy to Eclectic Fusion, but little did they know that this opportunity would also sow the seeds of discord. So here we go. As the festival date approached, the band faced increasing pressure to create a show-stopping performance that would leave a lasting impression. Jake, driven by a desire to showcase his vocal prowess, pushed for a set list that highlighted his range and emotive abilities. Mia, on the other hand, believed that the festival crowd craved energetic guitar solos and proposed a set list that showcased her technical skills. Tensions begun to rise during rehearsals as each member defended their musical preferences. Alex, usually the peacemaker, found himself caught in the middle, torn between the conflicting visions of Jake and Mia. Lily, normally the rhythmic heartbeat of the group, grew frustrated with the discord and felt her creative input was being overlooked. I hope something like crazy happens here.
Where's the weird shit?
Yeah. In an attempt to resolve the conflict, the band decided...
Somebody's got a shit in a guitar case at some point.
The band decided to compromise on the set list, incorporating elements from each member's suggestions. However, the resulting mishmash of styles failed to create the cohesive and powerful performance they had envisioned. As the festival date drew nearer, the strain on the relationship became palpable. It sounds like a normal conflict a band would have so far.
Adults.
So here we go. I don't
like it.
There's only a few more paragraphs here. On the eve of Harmony Fest, the tension reached its peak during a heated argument about the final arrangement of their set list. Unable to find common ground, Jake, Mia, Alex, and Lily faced the harsh reality that their once unbreakable bond had shattered. The dream of headlining Harmony Fest had turned into a nightmare, and the band's disintegration played out under the spotlight of their biggest opportunity. As the festival lights illuminated the stage, here we go, Eclectic Fusion took to the platform with forced smiles and strained interactions. The dissonance among them was palpable, and their performance lacked the magic that had once defined their music. The audience, sensing the disconnect, witnessed the downfall of a band that had once been the epitome of harmony. In the aftermath of Harmony Fest, Eclectic Fusion announced their heartbreaking decision to part ways. The unlikely scenario of a dream opportunity tearing apart a band that had weathered so much together served as a cautionary tale in Harmonyville, a city that had witnessed the rise and fall of its once beloved musical phenomenon. Okay, we got to give it, that is not an unlikely scenario. Hold on. Make the breakup
dirtier.
Make the breakup
violent.
Violent in nature. It probably won't. It probably won't because it doesn't want to. You know what I mean? It's got safeguards in place.
What? I want it to be sexy. Say you want it sexual and violent.
What? Oh my! I won't. It will not do that.
ChatGPT. I want it sexual and violent. It just starts giving it to you.
Oh my gosh! Giving it to me how? Make the breakup for something risque.
Sure. Something domestic.
Between band members and domestic.
I.e. Fleetwood Mac.
Members. Yeah, it's just going to give me the Fleetwood Mac Wikipedia.
Mac-y. Okay, I was watching a podcast this week, and they're just talking about favorite performances to watch on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I guess there's this very famous Fleetwood Mac performance from 1997 where Stevie Nicks is just glaring at her former what's his name? Lindsey Buckingham.
Uh-huh.
She wrote the song about him and she's just fucking staring daggers at him.
Beautiful. Okay, so this one wrote another story, but then I told it to make it only one paragraph long so it's not so long. And then we'll move on. In the vibrant city of Grooveville, the infamous band Sonic Seduction, celebrated for their provocative image, found themselves entangled in a scandalous affair that would lead to their tumultuous breakup. When tabloids exposed charismatic frontman Max and sultry guitarist Scarlett in a steamy rendezvous, the resulting media frenzy unraveled the band's unity. The scandal ignited a fiery feud within the group, the bassist Damon feeling betrayed by both Max and Scarlett, and drummer Jade, Damon's partner, caught in the crossfire. Rehearsals became battlegrounds of emotions, culminating in a dramatic domestic dispute at Max and Scarlett's apartment that ended with the police involved. With legal troubles and fractured personal relationships, Sonic Seduction's fall from grace became headline news, sealing the fate of a band that had once defined Grooveville's music scene. The risque affair, initially confined to tabloid pages, proved to be the destructive force that eclipsed their musical talents and led to the disintegration of once prominent musical phenomenon. Yeah, I think what we would have to do, and we're not going to do this here, we're going to have to feed ChatGPT some ideas. Some specific ideas to form a really good story. But I do feel like that hardcore band thing with the estrogen and stuff could have been prompted by ChatGPT. I really do.
That's why, real human interaction and story will always better.
Absolutely. And you could create some great stuff with ChatGPT as long as you prompt it to do the things that you want and you're very specific.
The human mind is always better. We can go so much darker. I thought of so much weirder shit on my own.
just within this half hour that we've been talking.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, John, let's move on. So,
let's look at my dream, for example. It's a much more interesting story than...
True.
While unlikely.
While unlikely.
It was much more human.
It very much was. Mm-hmm. Okay, John, so let's move on here. Came across a Reddit post this week. The post was, why do you think pop punk is no longer mainstream? So do you want us to share our thoughts first, or should we go through some comments?
I'd like to read the comments first. That'll spark some things. Yeah.
So let's start. So one comment that stood out to me, there was a few, but one stood out to me and it got my thoughts going. So I'll read this comment here, and then I'm going to comment and then see what you think too. So this one was, so again, why do you think pop punk is no longer mainstream? And this commenter said, 1, nobody wants to be a star. Frontmen don't carry themselves like celebrities anymore, and they don't have enough charisma to push their band into mainstream. Number 2, modern society consumes music differently now, so in general, it's harder for artists to become mainstream. In 2004, radio stations spoon-fed Boulevard of Broken Dreams to the masses. Now, people can log into Spotify or YouTube and listen to whatever they want. 3, another commenter mentioned it, but solo acts and hip-hop artists are easier and cheaper to produce. Better ROI for record labels. That only has 17 upvotes, but I think this guy or girl is clearly onto something, because I agree. Frontmen don't carry themselves like celebrities anymore, and nobody wants to be a star. I can kind of see that. So, and I do think it's the environment. Yeah, it's kind of like the environment we live in right now. We are very too PC, politically correct. Like, artists don't take chances anymore.
I feel like anybody that does carry themselves like that is just a solo artist. Like they don't need the band element anymore, so they just do it on their own.
And that's why MGK, in my opinion, was so successful. He stayed in the news. He didn't care what people thought of him. He's kind of a weird dude, like a unique guy, and he let that shine. But he stayed in the news. He had a smoking hot girlfriend or fiance.
Easy.
But come on. But they were both in the news. Like they were doing things to stay in the public eye, and there's literally no other artists in pop punk that do that. Now, you could argue that the two biggest pop punk acts of all time, arguably, in my opinion, Blink-182 and Green Day. Blink-182, they've had the dick jokes. They were very immature. It was hilarious, and they didn't care what anybody thought of them. So I think that helped them. They were weird, they were funny. They didn't take themselves too seriously. At least it didn't, they didn't appear that way. They were fun. So they stood out to everybody else, every other artist. So that worked, right? They were unique. Green Day, on the other hand, very vocal about whatever it is that they want to be vocal about, whether that's politics, how the music industry is, whatever. They were very adamant, and they were basically kind of a leader of, the grunge, one of the leaders in the grunge. And at the time, I don't think we would have called them pop punk, but in that pop punk sense. So they stood out. And Green Day, Billie Joe Armstrong does not give two shits what people think. And when you think about pop punk now, there are no bands like that. Everybody is, I feel like, and I don't think it's any fault to them, because it's just kind of the world we live in now. Like I said, it's very PC. You have to be very careful of what you say and how you say it. And nobody's allowed to take chances. Everybody's afraid to get canceled. Like, you can say things, guys. Like, obviously, don't be mean, but don't fall into this. I feel like artists need to not fall into the trap of being scared of being canceled. Be yourself. As long as you're a good person and you mean well, be yourself. And
I mean, it's okay for a band to look like they could beat the shit out of you, you know?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's what we're missing.
I just feel like the main thing with pop punk, at least, and like I said, I think this commenter kind of nails it on the head. People aren't doing enough to stand out like they used to. And because of that, you get all of these songs. Not to say that pop punk songs in the past didn't all sound the same. But now when you don't have any standout artists, I feel like all the songs don't differentiate themselves from each other. It all just kind of is like soup in a way, you know?
Yeah, nobody's out in the forefront making changes. And
so who do you push? Who do you push forward? Like, who's going to be the next leader of this genre? And you don't have that. And now MGK, I know nobody likes MGK when we're talking about pop punk, but damn it, he was the leader, you know, in 2021, 2022, and now it seems like he's going back to hip hop. So I think somebody needs to step up when it comes to the pop punk world. And until then, pop punk's going to remain where it's at, and it's kind of keep fading back. You know, hip hop, pop. Look at the artists that are on top there. They're in the news. Mm-hmm. You know, look at Kanye. He just had a #1 album. Sounds like a terrible person, but everybody's talking about him. You know?
I think the only way to do it is to have the guy from Hootie and the Blowfish go pop punk.
I wish he would. Darius Rucker's the man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's one thing to think about as to why pop punk is not mainstream right now. We can read some more comments.
Or if Trump went pop punk.
Oh yeah, make pop punk great again.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh, I saw an interesting Reddit post we should look at maybe in the future. It was talking about like what songs from the Pop Goes series made you cringe.
Yeah, I saw that one. I didn't read any of the comments though, but I did come across that one.
Yeah, well,
that would be good.
I figured out there's a lot of them that I haven't heard, like that came out, after we were.
We should definitely. Active. I'm going to write that on our document.
They said there's one that's called Pop Goes Crunk, and like all the bands are using the N-word in it and stuff.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible. So I'm going to write that down as a bonus here.
I'm adding it to my library.
Goes.
I remember they used the N-word in that starting line, the J-Lo song that they did.
Yeah.
But they didn't say the word. They said the word that they squeezed like all this word that I cannot say instead of saying the word. Oh,
yeah. That is one of the best Pop Punk Goes songs, I think.
Yeah, that was mentioned as one of the better ones. Yeah.
That one's great.
Well, we used to do the whoever did My Heart Will Go On. That was Newfound, right?
It was Newfound, yeah.
Yeah, we did
that one. I think we tried to play I Like It That Way.
I Want It That Way?
I Want It That Way, yeah.
And then we did, what was the Mandy Moore song?
Oh, yeah.
Crush.
I Got a Crush on You, yeah. Crush. Yeah. We did our own little version of that, though, because you couldn't find tabs at the time, and we were kind of just starting out. It turned out pretty good.
It was decent. It was better than a lot of the other songs we were playing.
For 15, 16-year-old kids. All right. Let's read another comment here. Again, why do you think pop punk is no longer mainstream? This person says, this has 74 upvotes, so let's see if this is worthy here. There were more ways for pop punk bands to find an audience. MTV, VH1, etc., Warped Tour kept a lot of these bands going and gave newer bands their start. Video games like Pro Skater, Burnout, Madden, Guitar Hero, etc., all having these bands on their soundtracks. Early internet platforms like MySpace helped too. Even with all the nostalgic festivals and emo nights, new bands aren't getting much of a spotlight at those, something Warped did so well. So, yeah, all the nostalgic festivals and emo nights that are going on now, they're not seeing a return on investment there.
I used to spend time on Pure Volume trying to find bands that way.
Dude, I felt like that was the best time, dude. And you know what I think it is, too? I think this commenter, Tomcat182, is right on here. Like, it is harder to get recognized. But the thing is, like, when you go back to the MySpace days, the Pure Volume days, when you're going and trying to find these acts yourselves, you become more invested in that band. Like, you find one or two songs, you're like, oh yeah, this is good. And then you really want to dive into their catalog. And back then, you would get the CD, and that's what you had. We didn't have this big library of songs because we didn't have enough money to get the library that we may want, but you actually spent time with that album for months before you moved on to another album. Now, let's take the Blink record, for example, one more time. I re-listened to that album recently. I still think it's a really strong album. Now, when I was, 17 years old, I would have taken this album and I probably would have listened to it for a good 2, 3, 4, 5 months. But I took this album in its current form in the streaming world that we live in, and I've only listened to it, 10 times maybe over the last.
I mean, a good chunk
long.
of it you're listening to, in the months leading up to it too. That's part of the problem too.
That too. Yep. So I don't think we invest as much time into songs in general anymore like we used to, and I think that kind of. I think that can kind of hurt as well. Like you're just constantly moving on to the next thing. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it just seemed like you became more invested in certain bands back in the day than you do now. And I think that's why you can't necessarily push a certain act as well as you used to. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Tomcat 182 also says, couple all of this with the fact that the mainstream moved more towards pop and hip hop and the rise of streaming, making the selection larger than ever. And it's not hard to see why the genre went back underground, so to speak. And I guess that's exactly what I was kind of saying. Oh, I upvoted this one, so I can't remember what they said, but let's see. I don't think it's ever been mainstream outside of Blink-182, Green Day, and Sum 41. That is absolutely true. MTV is dead, and radio has taken a back seat to streaming services. Kids in the early 2000s got to hear a large variety on a public radio station. I got hooked on New Found Glory from hearing My Friends Over You on the radio. I got hooked on Fall Out Boy from seeing the Sugar We're Going Down video on TRL. I feel like the mass exposure has gone away. And yeah, I think that's true. The mass exposure has gone away. There's no other, unless you're going viral on TikTok, you're not going to get seen. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to. And I don't know why pop and hip hop has kind of always, or it seems to be, the most mainstream in terms of music. I don't know why that is. Maybe it goes back to what that one person was saying, that it's cheaper to create that music than it is, getting 5 band members in a room. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, and so much of it can just be done on your own at a computer now. I mean,
exactly. Yeah, it's a different time right now. And I don't, like I said before in a couple episodes ago, I do think that this pop punk or emo revival or whatever we've been talking about for the last couple of years, I do think it's I think it's over. I do. I think it's peaked at some point in the last few months. And I think you and I said, John, maybe it just peaked at Blink-182's last album. Mm-hmm. But again, I think it all just goes back to nobody is doing anything to stand out.
Yeah.
Like pop punk, if you want to get on radio right now, you got to reach out to a pop star or a hip hop star, or they don't have to be a star, but they have to have some credibility, some familiarity, right? Like people have to have heard of them. Like you have to reach out, get a country star, get something. Don't just stay, don't gatekeep your own genre, branch out.
No, I still think Hot Mulligan has a chance to break mainstream. I mean, they're touring with Fall Out Boy now, but as much as they've grown, you still don't hear about them. So in your day-to-day life.
I think they have the talent, and I think they have. I think it's very possible for them to do it. They have the potential. That's the word I was looking for. But they need hit-sounding songs. I mean, you're not going to go mainstream unless you have a pop-sounding. You want to sing along. It makes you feel a certain way. A bright-sounding song. I would argue
they have that.
I haven't heard a hit though. You know what I mean? Like I haven't heard a hit-worthy song. But that's not to say that they can't do it. I think they can. The potential's there, and people love them. So, but I would also argue that Fall Out Boy. I'm surprised that some of their. And I love the songs that have hit radio, but I'm surprised that some of the songs have hit radio. So, in the past. So, it's not to say that Hot Mulligan can't do it with their current songs. I guess is what I'm trying to say. But I think they raise their chances of getting there if they get, you know, not more poppy sounding songs, but just more brighter sounding songs, more melody, you know, what mainstream kind of requires usually. This one's an interesting take, and I think we can end it here because I think this kind of is what you were saying too when it comes to, you know, solo artists. But pop punk bubbled back up in 2020, 2021 with some extended coverage since, but it's either rappers who went pop punk like MGK, Youngblood, Willow, Mod Sun, and Kenny Hoopla, who to different degrees were pop punk kids who went into rap, or females who were pop but did punky power pop songs. Olivia Rodrigo is the biggest name in that. Also, there were all the Travis core TikTokers like Jaden and Huddy. So I think there was, I mean, like you said, there were some solo artists that did their thing. Again, none of them did anything to really stand out. Some of them did get played on radio, but then again, some of those ended up just, to me, kind of sounding the same. So I don't know. I think all of that is true, and why pop punk hasn't gone mainstream beyond MGK.
One of the things we hear when we're doing interviews too is like, oh, we went and got this person who worked with so-and-so and worked with so-and-so. And I mean, that's going to lead to a lot of sameness.
Samey, yeah.
Yeah, you want to have the same minds working on your songs as other bands. I mean, there's going to be some...
Yeah.
You know...
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's why people would dog on John Feldman with his stuff, because it was sounding... You could tell when it was a John Feldman produced song, which is fine. That's his style. It's just like if a band produced their own stuff over and over, it would sound like that band. But yeah, guys, we'd love to hear your take on why you think pop punk hasn't hit mainstream. And also, do you think that it's peaked as of late, like we kind of think? So let us know on the socials at All Punked Up. But guys, that'll do it for this episode. So thanks so much for tuning in. If you're really digging our show, please consider helping us spread the word and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts and or on Spotify. A 5-star review would be greatly appreciated. And please let us know what you'd like to hear most about the show and what you'd like to hear more of. So with that, thanks again. And remember, spread love. Peace.
Bye.